Sportsline Podcast on the CHCH and Parent TV media platforms. Hey, if you're new, pleased to meet you. I'm Bubba O'Neil. Hey, as we take pleasure in doing, we love to celebrate the greatness and experience of local athletes that are making a name for themselves in the community across the country and, hey, sometimes around the world. Today, a club with a whole lot of historical value that has been pumping out athletes from the city of Hamilton for a century. Folks, the Hamilton Olympic Club is the oldest track and field organization in this country. Their mission, helping track and field athletes in the city of Hamilton realize their potential at all levels of participation, from recreation to elite competition. 2026, a special year of pride and awareness for the club as it will celebrate a 100th year of operation. To chat about what's to come for this coming year, let's say hello to Hamilton Olympic Club President Marcello Campanaro. How are you?
I'm good.
As we know you as Campy.
Yes.
What's going on, partner?
Well, just living, the dream in the retired life kind of thing. So no more school getting in the way or anything like that. I just get to coach and be around sports all day long. I just got to be straight up with folks out there watching and listening on the podcast. You and I go back to early 90s, late 80s. Yeah.
We go back that far. I hadn't seen you in a long time. Yes. And it just made me think, oh my goodness, what has this cat done over these years? And when I put up this board of your resume, partner, I look at some things that are incredible. Okay, yeah, the Olympic Club, that's your new gig. We're going to get into that. You got things going on as a quarterback coach at Western and Guelph, Burlington Stampeders, Mac University as the head coach, offensive coordinator, the strength and conditioning dude, MM Robinson way back in the day when we first met, teacher, coach, head of physical education. Why can't you keep a job? It's amazing, Campy. Fantastic resume for what you've done in this local area and the amount of time. And I know a lot of this was volunteer, too. First of all, congratulations on what you've done. But I'll tell you, does it seem like a whole lifetime of things that you've done when you think about in terms of your accomplishments?
Kind of starting to see it that way. I just think I kept my head down and just kept rolling. And when an opportunity comes up to coach, I'm going to coach. I love to coach, and I'll continue to coach. I think I got lots left in the tank. I know it's a lot of years, but I think the tank's, still got a lot of juice in there. So I love it. And now coaching is something I can do with sort of full intensity because, as I mentioned, I'm not teaching, now, and there's a lot of time, and I love to fill my time coaching. That's what I've always wanted to do, and I keep doing it, and I will continue that way.
How did you get involved in the Hamilton Olympic Track Club?
I would say that's the result of having my son registered when he was a little guy, and I had coaching background, from years at Robinson in track and field, and it started off as, helping out, a night a week here and there with throws, and then eventually started to progress into sort of the high school programs with the club, and then just took it on from there.
You yourself have been involved in athletics all the time and for many years, even well beyond your beginning of coaching years. Was track and field something that you loved, that you appreciated?
I did compete in high school as a track athlete and had some success as a track athlete. I wouldn't say it was extensive, and then, just tried some other things. Like, when I went to McMaster, I gave football a shot. I probably at that time, could have thought about track and field, but it was football, and then kind of life goes the way it goes, and football ended pretty quick, and basically, I started coaching from that point in time. So, sort of athletic career that was there, I think, like any other normal kind of, kid at the time. But I honestly really wanted to coach from an early point in my life.
Well, it certainly has done very, very well doing that. When you look at the Olympic Club, I mean, there's a lot of historical value that goes back to it. Maybe let some of our viewers and some of our listeners know that, I mean, 100 years, but as you talk about the oldest club in North America, it's unbelievable, around the world maybe.
Yeah, I got corrected. I'm told it's the oldest club in Canada, and probably one of the top, 3 or 4 within the North America for sure. It's so extensive, and at times, what's been good about kind of celebrating is you have to go through the process of starting a document. So now we're getting, and I'm getting a lot more insight in terms of the actual development and the history of the club and how it's evolved and, what it was and what it's, what it is today. And then it kind of gives you an idea of where things might go, moving forward. But it's so extensive, and honestly, it's overwhelming at times. Like 100 years worth of athletes. If you start just kind of putting some numbers together, like, we have about 150 to 200, athletes in the club right now. If you kind of start working that's the number every year, and you go back 100, that's, a lot, kind of,
Don't ask me to do any math.
No, and names, it's worse, it's worse than school because, the numbers are there, you remember kids from class for a while, but after a while, like, you start remembering faces, and then you kind of don't. But anyway, it's so extensive, and I think the other thing is it's so much a part of the evolution of amateur sport in the country. In the city for sure, but in the country, just in terms of a lot of the founding pieces and the initiatives and the events, et cetera, and then the athletes and it wasn't just people on a track, and they race and they've got a number. A lot of what they did was significant, in the grand scheme of like I said, the community and the nation in a lot of ways.
It's funny, I think of you, and of course, going back to those days when we first met, and you were teaching and coaching at M.M. Robinson. Mm-hmm. Funny enough, M.M. Robinson has an incredible tie to what the club you are working for right now.
Yes, maybe it was like a destiny thing.
Amazing.
It really somehow. Is. My whole career was at Robinson, and I would always look, to see what he was all about, and over the course of my career there, I looked into the history of the man, and I thought myself, I thought I was in the right place because he had such a sport background, with the British Empire Games and all those kind of, just like, again, the things he did, as if you're a person of sport, let's say, this is a good place to be, like, it just kind of that sort of spirit, kind of overseeing things. And Robinson at that time, like, the school was very competitive and extensive in their sports programs, so it kind of suited, the name definitely suited, and the person suited, and it was a good place for me to be anyway.
That's for sure.
Yep.
For someone that we say came in from another part of the country or came in from another part of the world, and they came and settled in here, can you just tell us a little bit about the club and what it offers? And obviously there's a lot that goes into it, but I mean, just starting off with the sports and what it offers to young kids.
I think it's, without being cliched, an opportunity to grow and kind of learn about yourself, and that's what we're promoting there. So, someone that comes into the country, and one thing about track, it's pretty universal. Like, they run all over the world, they can throw all over, they can jump. Like, it's, when we look at football, which I've coached, it's a little more complicated.
Yes,
and maybe people are a little more reluctant to jump into that. But track and field really is, I think, an inclusive sport. So, you can come in with no experience at all. Again, like if you can put one foot in front of the other, you can be a track athlete. And if you put some time and effort and, you commit and you work hard, you can be a good track athlete kind of thing. So, on that side of things, I think there's potential and hope and all that kind of stuff for someone coming in. I think, the attachment to the group is always a benefit. It is an individual sport, but there are, in our group, there's plus 35 kids, and they all have to talk, work out together, do whatever. They support each other, et cetera. So I always think that's, a benefit of sport. A huge benefit of sport is that opportunity to build relationships. At the end of the day, not everybody's going to the Olympics.
No, of course.
But
yes.
They are going to make a significant number of friends in that group. They're going to establish relationships with their teammates, coaches, et cetera, and those last. And I think that kind of is exemplified in the way the club's evolved. Like, people 100 years through, and you've got contacts with people that have stayed with people over the course of that time. I think, one of our let's call it mandates with the club is to make it accessible and inclusive. We do everything we can to try and keep the price down. And I think track and field in general is probably the best bang for the buck when it comes to youth sports. But again, we work to keep that down. And if, we have to figure out a way to, get someone on the track that can't quite afford it, we do that. And then we're going to continue to do that. And I think a lot of this celebration over the course of the year and what comes from it is going to continue to kind of push that. I mean, we want kids in the clubs, and we don't want kids to be restricted if they're talented and because they can't afford to get here, because they can't this, because they can't that. We're trying to remove those obstacles, and we do it, and we'll always try and be better at doing it, I think.
That's fabulous that you do think. I mean, we always just think of ourselves in, kind of the middle class and in that sort of genre. But you're right. There are plenty of talented athletes out there that, for whatever reason, and I mean, there's a zillion reasons out there, maybe just can't afford. It's that basic. Can't afford to participate in sports, and we certainly don't want that to be a barrier, as you said, for athletes, especially in our area. I would believe, and I'm just guessing here. There's some government funding that's going on, but I would have to believe the true strength of the club would be people that donate. Would there not be?
Yes. Through this anniversary initiative, that'll be big. And again, one of our objectives with the anniversary celebration is to help the club move forward, to build the future and to keep things going. Like everything costs money. And sometimes, we're asked to, be able to contribute financially to the things that allow us to operate a program. Like, we may have to buy starting blocks, that kind of stuff. Well, we don't want to increase registration rates, because we got to buy starting blocks. We would like to do that through proceeds that are earned through this program or through grant, applications and all those kind of things. So we do, like I said, we make an effort to try and avoid having to, continuously look at registrations. So, we just got to keep jacking it up, for athletes, and again, then it does become, exclusive, and we don't want it to be exclusive. I think that's a tragic situation with kids sports in this day and age anyway. You know?
I would think because you have a reputation of being around for a century, that the word is out for this club across at least our community, that people know about this club, know about the reputation of the club, and how it is helping kids. Let me throw one thing out to you, because it's the backbone of what you do. Where do you find coaches?
This is a tough question. It's a good question. It's hard to find coaches. You know, at the younger levels, you kind of, you know, go to parent volunteers. You know, I mean, that's the way I started with this club. You know, and a lot of the coaches that have come through the club were parents, and they came and they helped coach their kids. You know, fortunately, in some cases, we had people stay on. Mm-hmm. You know, so there's one avenue. But it is difficult, and it's difficult to, you know, get qualified and competent coaches, you know, moving forward. Like, not that it's crazy, you know, complicated in terms of teaching someone how to run, but once you start moving up, you know, in terms of performance levels, then the coaching competency has to, you know, improve. And we can do that from within, but the sort of initial kind of, you know, recruiting of coaches, we definitely don't have people knocking our doors down or anything like that. But you know, we've over time been able to, like I said, with parents, they stay on, and then the other probably best resources is the athletes that have gone through.
Right.
You know, to keep in touch with them and to try and bring them back. And we have some smatterings of that going on now, and we will continue to do that. Our head coach of middle distance, Michaela Hewitt, was an athlete with the club. And then as soon as she, you know, finished her university career, she was involved, you know, as an assistant coach with Patty Moore, and now is taking it on. So that's kind of ideally what we'd like to see, you know, that kind of transition and that tie-in. We have a few, but life gets in the way.
No doubt.
So I had this issue constantly, you know, coaching football at the high school level. People get jobs, you know. If they're unemployed, you've got coaches, but this is not a good situation for you know, the guy who wants to, you know, eat and pay a mortgage or pay rent or whatever. Mm-hmm. So you understand that. You again hope over time that when they sort of finish school, establish themselves in a job, that we can, you know, tap on them to come out and volunteer. And plus, it is volunteer. Like, you know, I my whole career, I never thought about money in terms of coaching, you know, until sort of recently, when it starts costing me a lot of money to coach, and we can't have that, I don't think. But it is a demand, and it's a commitment, you know, to coach and be a volunteer and that kind of stuff. And then I think it takes you know, special people to do that. But you want those kind of people, you know, you want people that are passionate about doing it. There's
no doubt. I mean, because volunteering, I mean, we see it. I don't care if it's football, hockey, baseball, track and field, whatever, the Canadian Open, golf, like the strength. And I think it's a strength in this community is the people that want to volunteer, that want to be involved, that pay it forward, pay it back.
Yes.
And we're hoping that the club is experiencing some kind of success that way as well too.
Yeah, we've had, I mean, if you look at the club administration and the staff, the way it sits, been there for a long time. And I always respect that and respected that coming in. And I look to see who, you know, your kid's there and then you're gone in a year. And I get that. But there are people there, their kids were there 20 years ago. They're still here, you know, or still with the club. Like, what's the motive then? The motive is purely to continue to volunteer and to help, you know, operate things and move things forward. And at the end of the day, to provide a program for kids, you know, and a positive experience for kids. The club is full of that. And that to me is, it's a positive for sure. And again, that's kind of the direction you'd like to go.
You talked about inclusivity. We've got a Paralympics that's coming up really soon in terms of the Winter Games. Is there opportunities for Paralympic athletes as well to participate and be in the club?
Yes, there is, and we do have a couple athletes that are para-categoried kind of thing, where they train with the kids. Right now, it's not a separate program, and that's more a function of, again, trying to get coaches to do that, and right now, we don't have coaches to do that. But we need to get coaches to do that. And we want to run the program right. We want to run it in the best way possible, like everything else we're doing. We don't want to, we're not going to run, programs that don't kind of have a standard of excellence to them, or provide that opportunity, to pursue excellence. I am in discussion with McMaster and a PACE program and possibilities of some things moving forward, and looking at that. We did have, again, there was pair program, but again, you start losing your coaching resources and those kind of things, and you're not providing the same sort of thing.
One name, and as we just saw some video of someone there that was doing some, para sort of games that I think you guys are involved in, and I think a lot of the other clubs are involved in. Just kind of tell me, because for as long as I've heard about the Hamilton Olympic Club, I've heard of Val Sargent.
Yes.
What has he meant to that club?
He's been in and around the club pretty much his whole time here in Hamilton. He was the guy heading up that program. And basically what we've done moving forward is Val's taking it, kind of on his own through his club, because that's a focus for him and his club, so we can kind of, cover it off kind of thing, and make sure there is an opportunity within the community, for those athletes to go. But Val's like completely integrated in terms of track. You really can't find anything or do anything that doesn't have a Val signature on it. Moving back for probably 40 years worth.
Wow.
I mean, I remember seeing Val compete as an athlete, through Scott Park, and that's in the 70s. So, he hasn't left the sport at all.
Love that kind of dedication. Let's go back to the 100th, though. All kinds of things planned. What do you got planned? I know one thing I noticed, which I thought was really cool, is that you've got this 100th logo contest that you're out there for the public. You might want to explain.
Well, we have a logo, and
oh, you do?
Yes, it's basically what we did was edit the logo we have, and we looked at it, and the logo thought it did embrace the whole idea of the 100th. It had been done a long time ago. It incorporated pieces of the original logo, so we wanted to keep that, and basically, we have that logo now. Let's say simplified almost. We've kind of gone to a two-color color scheme, that kind of thing, and it is the logo. There's no question about the club or anything like that when it comes to the logo, and it does recognize the start date and that kind of stuff, and anyway, it's the one we'll use, and it will not just end at this year. It will continue on and on.
You'll maintain it. That's obvious. No, outstanding. Will there be dinners? I know I did see. I'm going to look back. I saw there was a 90th, and there was dinners and presentations. Will there be something similar?
So we are planning for a gala event September the 19th, 2026 at Michelangelo's. And that'll be the culminating piece to all this. And at that dinner, we will have people speaking on behalf of the club. Like old Neil Lumsden's, committed to coming in and speaking, and a few other, politicians from the area, and they'll recognize again the achievement of the club within the community. We will be bringing in former athletes to speak to their experience of the club and kind of what it's meant for them, moving forward. And that we will be presenting a commemorative book that documents the 100 years, which I don't know if they have enough money for pages, but anyway, I think it's going to be pretty extensive. But again, it's been a great project, I think, for learning when it comes to understanding and seeing the history of the club. And then we'll be featuring a documentary film that takes us through the club, and hopefully we can cover 100 years worth of club, but that's a lot of people, and that's kind of the hard part. But I think with the gala, the opportunity to have everybody come together is there because of the nature of the event. It's hard, like in the commemorative book, for instance, to document each and every single athlete that did something, because there are so many. It's the same thing within a documentary, but I think at that event, through a number of different avenues and mediums, you can, kind of bring the whole group together and see the sort of accomplishment over the 100 years.
I think you've been immersed in it long enough that I can ask you and close up on this question here. Two-part question. Why has the Hamilton Olympic Track and Field Club lasted 100 years? Why?
I think tradition, probably first and foremost. And I think tradition is huge in any program. Tradition is your culture. And I think the culture has always been strong. The culture is positive. The culture has history. There's a lot of pieces that come from tradition that you can continue to build on, and you can hang your hat on, whatever, sort of, not excuse, but whatever, cliche you want to use to say, this is us. And I think you've always been able to say, this is us. When I go to track meets, people know who Hamilton Olympic Club is. They know because tradition. They know because the club's been around for as long as it's been around. So it's recognized. And again, you have in that tradition, you have a tradition of outstanding athletes. You have a tradition of being involved in some significant events. But again, it's tradition and culture, and I think that's been maintained for sure. I think the other pieces, and we've discussed this at the beginning, I think the club works hard and constantly discusses ways to make sure this is affordable. And again, you can look at a number of sports. You can look at now some trends in track, and it's becoming costly. And we don't want to do that. We want to make sure that kids have an opportunity to be involved in sport, and again, keeping that registration cost down, fundraising to make sure it's available. Those are all going to be significant pieces, moving forward and maintaining. But I do think, within the club, I do think we have a very diverse group of athletes, come from all over. You don't have to, bring in some kind of profile, that says, I'm from here, I'm from there, whatever. You want to run, you come in, and then we'll, or throw or whatever, and we'll figure out, how to make that happen. And again, I don't ever want to see a situation where, we can't get an athlete in the club because they can't afford to be part of the club.
So overall, when you're ready as a president to hand off the torch to someone else, do you believe that this club as it stands today, that the future is bright?
Yes, absolutely. I think if there was going to be a down, let's say, kind of post-COVID, but after COVID, it was, for most kids' sports and most sports in general, I think there was a real high uptick in terms of participation. After 2 years, you're kind of going, is that sort of phenomenon worn off? Well, it hasn't worn off. We have constant, increase in our numbers in the last 2 or 3 years, 4 years. It continues to go up. Our issue now is moving forward is going to be getting coaches, and making sure we can service that number of kids. But if, again, if we can provide a quality program and coaches, we're going to take on more kids. I don't see that as going away.
I'm pleased to hear that. But it all starts with good leadership. As I said off the top, I've known you a lot of years, and you've always been a good leader and a respected leader. Kids at that point looked up to you. They clearly listened to you. And when I hear talk to some of those kids that are much older right now, they rave about the experiences that they had with you, whether it be strength and conditioning, coaching, offense, M.M. Robinson, McMaster back in the day, and clearly what you're still doing right now at the club. And of course, I guess you're doing Western University with QBs right now. So Campy, congratulations. Just an unbelievable career. As he said, you ain't done yet.
No.
And I think the club is in good hands with someone like yourself as a leader. So on behalf of the community, I'm just going to say congratulations and thank you. It's awesome because, it's hard to run programs nowadays. We know this. Yeah. Sports is hard. It's tough. As you said, there's so much cost involved. And the fact that your club has done 100 years and you've left me with the impression that there's 100 more to go. So hopefully we can get more news out there as we get closer to September to the big gala event. Let's get out there, folks. Our community does it like no other in terms of support. Support this club. There's no reason why we can't go another 100 years, and we look forward to hopefully we're around for the next 100. Knock. You know what I mean? But Camp, thanks for coming in.
I appreciate being here. Honestly, it's been great. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. That's your Sportsline podcast for the day. And if you've just seen and heard, we love talking sports. If you do know of an athlete, team, or event to promote the Sportsline podcast, want to hear from you. Please hit that thumbs up, like, and subscribe button if you have something to say. We always appreciate your comments. For the outstanding people that support the Sportsline podcast, thank you so very much. And we'll see you real soon.